We're going to talk about a selection headache that we might have this weekend for the game against Crystal Palace. Bissouma's back in the frame. But on the merit of Hojbjerg's performance against Fulham, do you stick with Hojbjerg or do you bring Bissouma in? But you've got to take into account as well that Bissouma is back walking that tightrope with one more yellow card and he'll be suspended for the Chelsea game. So would you rather keep this...
Chelsea?
Wolves, yeah.
Wolves ain't easy, man. Wolves ain't easy.
No.
I don't.
Yeah, but
listen to me. I would put him in Palace. Like loads of people like saying, "Oh, but if you book him, you miss him against Chelsea," and they don't want to see Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez, and Caicedo versus like a Hojbjerg. But at the same time, like I do understand what they're saying because they're saying like, they reckon Hojbjerg.
Ash just convinced himself.
No. I want to be balanced. So I want to get it all out. And I understand why people are saying because of Palace, like maybe you put a Hojbjerg in. But for me, there's no 3 points that are given. I want to play my strongest team, regardless.
100%.
I want to get that 5 points. I want to have that 5 points at the top at the end of Friday or the end of Sunday, whenever it is. Like I want that 5 points, and I want Bissouma to be there. And I think, remember when Romero, he was on a tightrope as well. We needed him last season, and he was on like one more card, and he was on the suspension. And then he just went on like a 5 or 6 game run where he got absolutely no yellow cards. Yeah. I also think as well, it's a testament to Ange to kind of throw it out to Bissouma, like to see if he has the minerals, to see if he has the mentality, to see if he is that kind of captain material where he's the captain without the armband, if that makes sense. Because he got 2 man of the match performances where he raised his level straight away, and people were like, Bissouma's our best player ahead of Maddison at one point. Do you know what I mean?
Ash, he's got to have a word now, though, right? He's because before he was asked in a press conference, like I think it was Ali Gold that said, you know, Bissouma's on 4. Is it worth having a, you know? And then he was like, no, he's a man. You know, it's like, bro, have a word now. Like you gotta have a word. That is literally the job as a coach. You do have to have a word. When like he is a man and he is supposed to know these things, but it's the types of yellow cards that the type of yellow he got, and then the type of second yellow he got. That is like insanely dumb. So that's not a guy being a man. That's a guy throwing away a part of his season. So at that point, I think
those things could be fixed. I think those things can be fixed, honestly.
Yeah, it can be fixed, but I think as a case of people around him having a word.
Yeah. I think like there was one time where he jumped on someone's back, and I'm like, "What are you doing, bro? Like, why are you jumping on? Why are you giving off that silly type of free kick? He's clearly beating you. Don't jump on his back." And there's some yellow cards he had for like dissent. So that I honestly think he can cut that from this game.
Right, avoiding all that.
You know what I mean?
And his captains, whichever one's closer, like Romero was a problem, right? Last season, of course, he's been given extra responsibility. So with being a captain or vice captain, you kind of have to have a little bit more self-respect and respect for refs and calm everything down. But also, like I reckon someone must have showed him stats, sat Romero down and been like, bro, do you want to keep missing games? Do you want to have your team on the edge all the time? Like there is this part of your games that you can play on the edge. If you, I have no problem with someone getting a yellow card if it's like it was a 50-50 and you have to get the yellow card or whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's the going back to refs, or it's like the unnecessary tugs on players' shirts, or it's diving. These things should be wiped out of their game.
Yeah, that could get fixed. That's what my point is. I think he can fix that. Everyone thinks, oh, what if he gets a yellow against Palace? I think he's good enough, and he's got enough maturity, because I think Andrew's thrown the ball in his court to say, look, I need you to step up now. Like I told you at the start of the season, any more latenesses and you're not on his team. Do you know what I'm saying? He was late once. He said, sorry, Dad. And like now, he's playing for Uncle Ange. He's playing for him, and I think that side can be fixed right away. And I think, yeah, against Palace, give him that chance.
Yeah, I believe. I agree. I think
worst case scenario, 60 minutes, take him off, bring Hojbjerg on to show up the game. Do you know what I'm saying? Start it strong. Start the game as strong as possible, but then bring your Hojbjerg on as you normally do. 30 minutes to go.
Or maybe start Hojbjerg in the 8.
I was going to say,
Sarr.
I'm leaning towards maybe. I know Sarr. I'm not saying Sarr's been terrible, but
he's carrying a knock as well. By the way,
he is carrying a knock potentially. But I'm leaning towards maybe giving Sarr a bit of a rest potentially and putting Hojbjerg and Bissouma together.
100%, yeah, and have Hojbjerg in the 8. You know, are flexible, because I love when you watch Bissouma play. He's a 6, but like no other 6 plays a 6. Because a lot of the time he will be the guy darting into the box. He will go up and do 10 stuff. Like Ash was saying about Matters, they're not playing the 10 the way a 10 always plays a 10. It depends on what area of the pitch you're in. Then you have an arrayment of players. It's not really the traditional ways they play it. But I for sure think Hojbjerg is actually a better 8 than he is a 6 anyway. That's just my opinion. I think he does that for Denmark. He scores goals. You know, the side of Sarr's game that is just not there yet is his shooting. And Hojbjerg, that's the one great thing about Hojbjerg. He can score goals. We get him in a dangerous position, he'll score goals. Did it last season for us in very big moments. So I don't think that. I think that would be a really strong midfield, is Bissouma, Hojbjerg, and Madison. And they, you know, it can switch around. You know, they can vary it up. I think that's very strong.
Do you feel like Sarr's not failed, but do you feel like he has struggled to maintain the level he was showing at the beginning of the season, or do you think he's playing just as well as he was?
Offensively, I think he's not there where he was at the start of the season, but everything else he's doing right. I just feel like he's not arriving in that box like he was against that Manchester United where he got that goal. Burnley, not Burnley, it was
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, that's it, where he was again involved in that attacking play. I just need to see him in and around that box, contributing a little bit more. He does take quite a few shots. I just feel like he needs to.
He's a little bit rash with the shot. You can see he throws it. He moves too quick onto the shot.
And he snatches it too much.
Balance before he hits.
He snatches it away too much. But I think the work that he does off the ball is unbelievable, and like. It's great. It kind of like goes unnoticed sometimes, kind of the good work that Sarr does week in, week out with his team. And he kind of enables the other midfield players to do, especially Madison, to do what he needs to do.
Especially Poro. I think a lot of the times you see him on the right-hand side, full into that fullback position, and he's able to help us progress out of that. You know, when we play out from the back, he's able to help us play out from the back because he falls into that right-hand side. And the ball sticks to him. He doesn't lose that ball in that area. When he's near that byline, he's able to just thread the ball through. And also when he wins the ball high up the pitch as well,
he's brilliant at stopping a counter press. Counter press. He's brilliant at that. And that's the game a lot of the time that we play is like once you lose the ball high up, his job is you must stop the ball before it gets past the halfway line, and he's brilliant at that.
Also, I feel like sometimes he's really good, and lots of people can't figure out our formation, but at times we do play a 4-2-3-1 where he does do a double pivot. He does go alongside Bissouma, and he does kind of shore it up in that way. So he does show a bit of maturity in that level and intelligence. But as you said, I feel he's still a bit raw in terms of finishing. So I think because he's so young, we don't forget how young he is. You can see how young he is. But as years to go on, I feel like his finishing will get improved. I feel he will go up another level. I think the ceiling's high for him because like his ability, if you look at his frame, his arms, his legs are so long. He's able to, and he's actually physically strong as well. A lot of things.
He's so athletic, isn't he?
So like his agility, his ability to cover every blade of grass. I think that's the difference between him and most midfielders in our club at the moment. Is his agility. Like he's able to just do that role superbly as an 8. But again, I go back to that goal threat. We just need that more from that position. But intelligence, like I said, where Poro now is fitting into that number 8 role at times, he's just filling in. He's filling in for Poro, and he's kind of delaying that attack where it allows Poro to get back in that fullback position. Because they're like, how would Poro still have the pitch, but then sometimes he's defending at the next second? Like, how is that possible? It's because of Sarr. It's because of Sarr's managing those little things that you might not see as a normal fan, like the little nuances. But
how mad is it, Ash, though? Like, only a few months ago, 3-4 months ago, us as a fan base kind of considered Sarr and Skip to be on like the same level. How mad is that? And now, like, Skip don't even come close to anywhere near the levels that we think Sarr can get to. I mean,
Skip actually started the first game of the season, didn't
yeah,
he?
he did.
Yeah,
How mad is that?
I, by the way, never thought that they were going power. I always thought Sarr was way better. Ever since that AC Milan game, I thought
exactly. I was about to say that.
And you had that AC Milan game, but Sarr never got a look in after that that season.
I know. Classic Conte.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I thought Sarr way outperformed him. I couldn't believe that he was getting a lot of him. But I think it's the system. It's like I still think like the system. Conte said Basuma hasn't quite got it tactically in this particular role, in this particular system. And I think that's the reason why Hojbjerg and Skip were getting a nod over him, because Basuma was fit when Conte was around, just wasn't playing him in that particular system. And I just feel in this system, like Sarr and Basuma, they just fit the system a lot better because they've got a lot more bows to their
string to their bows, I think is the term.
Yeah, strings to the bow. So that's the reason why you're seeing the best in Sarr, the best in Basuma, whereas I feel like Skip is a little bit more limited in that role. And I feel the same a little bit about Hojbjerg. I'm not gonna lie. I think where Basuma can play the 6, but he can also play the 8. And he said as well, his favorite player growing up was Yaya Toure. And I saw an interview with them when they were sitting down. They said the way they were coached was you had to play every position. You had to play as a centre back, a full back, even a striker. And I think that's the reason why everyone's like, what? A six is not allowed to do that. A defensive midfielder is not allowed to do that, but he's doing it. Because in the AND system, you need to be able to rotate. You need to be able to, if Maddison drops in that midfield role, then Basuma needs to vacate a little bit higher up to be where Basuma might have been. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't have 4 players sitting behind a low block. It makes no sense. How are we going to break them down? Do you know what I mean? So you need one of those players to step up in that role. And I think that's the reason why I would prefer to see a Basuma start.
I don't think Ange really ever will go for if it's between Basuma or Hojbjerg. I don't think and Basuma's fit, Ange would never go for Hojbjerg over Basuma. It's more a case of where else he could play Hojbjerg. But because like Hojbjerg did loads of good things eventually in the game the other night.
Yeah, he pressed. I thought he pressed well.
He had a great game. I thought he had a brilliant game, Hojbjerg.
But playing out from the back, like he had sometimes in the channel behind defenders, he didn't really show a lot for the ball.
Yes.
And then like they weren't pressing high. If that's a high pressing team, Hojbjerg is just not press resistant. You put some pressure on, he rushes his pass.
He does.
You know, you want Hojbjerg in the 8, putting the ball through the lane, you know, like or even blocking the ball higher up. He's just not the stuff Basuma does, and it's fair enough because it's not many people do it. Just the way that Basuma can be in trouble, and then bang, he's gone past 2 players. Yeah. He's like dropped the shoulder and left him for dead. All that stuff that loads of the players were doing at the start of the season. Mickey Van de Ven was doing it. Udoji was doing it. It seemed like they were all like, let's see how we can ball out and break out at the back. Without Basuma there, like none of them do it. It's like, wait, everyone stopped having fun. You know, so you kind of need Basuma in to like inspire them with a quick little move. Boom, get the whole game changed.
That leadership on the pitch, like where you're not actually wearing an armband, but you're doing by as example. Like Kane used to do it, Gerrard used to do it, Basuma does it. Do you know what I mean? He gets the ball on that half turn, and then all of a sudden we're on the front foot because like 1 minute it's like we're passing backwards and sideways. Nah, Basuma just spun you. Do you know what I'm saying? We're in behind. And we're on an attack. Do you know what I'm saying? So like I totally agree with that. I think
he breeds that confidence in other players as well.
To be a bit more front-footed, a bit more adventurous, take your man on, like take a gamble, because that's what football's about, in my opinion. It's about, and I feel like in Hojbjerg's DNA, he's not really a gambler type of. He's more of a steady Eddie kind of guy, like
a Conte player. Let's just call it a Conte player.
Whereas Basuma loves a gamble. Basuma will go for it every time.
Well, and those gambles are worth taking because, like, if you think about how quick, how to get a counter or to suck a team in, you have to switch the ball back, and when you see that even on the other night, it's like, it's so boring. But when you have someone like Basuma, he takes that gamble. He's like, "Give me the ball." I've got 2 players, not give me the ball, and then bang, drops shoulder, and he's away. Then the whole momentum is shifted, and it's like, now you are in.
And it drags other players out of position because they go to confront him, and all of a sudden it opens up spaces.
Just produces carnage everywhere.
And that's
if
the thing.
If you're not going to have a Basuma on there, you need a player that's going to move the ball quick. The ball has to be, and that's why you need to turn the ball over faster, quicker. And I think that's why the managers right now, like Klopp himself and other managers, like to win the ball high up and kind of that's because one pass in, and that's a golden opportunity for you to score a goal. Do you know what I mean?
But you can see like Ange's strategy. Like you see a lot of the times, like there was times where Romero and Porro and Sarr, they were taking the ball into the corner to drag a team there, right? Because then obviously the whole momentum of the pitch goes there, and then the one pass inside to Basuma, and he's got people on him, and it's either like a one-touch bang, it's a 1-2 off each other, or it's just drop the shoulder, and then you look over the other side of the pitch, and it's like there's 3 passes that are open now for an unbelievable counter-attack, and it's just like that. And a team, like when you look at that, it's like it's the quickest way to kill a team dead. You know, but if you take out Basuma from that and you take out players who can play like that, you see, like in that game, they've not been doing it. Without Basuma, they do not do it. It's not worth the risk at that point.
Even when your doggy got taken off, right? You saw it straight away. When Emerson Royal came on, as soon as he went forward with the ball, it all broke down. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like off the ball, he was good at like recovering, getting blocks, wherever. But on the ball, you're like, oh, Royal, if only you just passed it then. Oh, Royal. Because he was good at running into the spaces. But again, you just need those players with that ability also, because it's not also just what you have upstairs mentality. It's also your technical ability as well. And the doggy, half turn, he can do it. Madison, half turn, he can do it. Basuma, half turn. So when you got 3 or 4 players that could just turn, you know what I'm saying? Spin man like Michael Jacks, then obviously you're going to just get in behind and score goals like at the drop of a hat, at the drop of a dime. So the more players we have like that, the more attributes, we're going to be able to turn teams like Crystal Palace over, because they're gonna try and sit us with a low block. They haven't got as they say.
We need to drag them into. We need to play kind of out the back and deep and drag them in there, and we need their attacking players and we need their defense up quite high. You know, and I just think imagine playing that way with Hojbjerg. He's a great player, but you can't see that, can you? In your head, you know, it just seems a little bit difficult.
Sometimes, not all the time, especially against Fulham. Sometimes he would join the centre back. Sometimes his back was to goal, and something like that. When your back's to goal and you can't see what's behind you, and you don't look over your shoulder, you're not scanning the pitch. Your passes have to be in your sight, which is backwards and sideways, because you're not on the half turn. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's what you have with Hojbjerg, and we saw that numerous amount of times last season.
All you lot are saying is just making me super excited and gassed for Bentancur to come back into this team. Because when Bentancur comes back into this team, how will our midfield stack like with the rest of the teams or the top teams in the Premier League? It's got to be right.
It's the best midfield in the league. Yeah, Basuma, Bentancur, Madison. That might be the best midfield.
It all depends on how Bentancur comes back. But I've been watching the training. And despite what I've just said, the way he just moves it quickly, one touch. Like he doesn't spend like that means up here. Sometimes when you lose like a little bit like down here, you know what I'm saying? Like in your hips or your knees or wherever the injury is, you make up for it in other places. You become sharper, like your senses become heightened. And I feel that's what happened with Son, where he may have lost a yard of pace. I think that might happen with Bentancur. He's already upstairs. But if he's lost anything, I guarantee you he comes back 10 times sharper on the ball, because he's got to make up for it some other way. So I'm really looking forward to his. Because remember when he first came and Winks went off? Remember when he did that pass across the pitch? Fizzed it. Like the kind of pass where the ball doesn't.
That was on his first game, right?
First game, and the whole crowd was like,
"Oh my god, oh my god!"
I remember in his first game as well. He did this thing at the back where he was like, it looked really fucking dangerous, and he drew 2 guys into him, and then he just went the other way. And it was like dead, and it was like, whoa, what's that? It's like we were in the Matrix. It was like, what the fuck is that in the box? That's crazy.
When you're used to mediocrity, and someone comes on with levels, then you're like, oh, that's what we've been missing. And I feel like Benny, Ben 10, because whatever you want to call him, man. Like the main man, Ben 10. When he comes back and he comes in that midfield, I'm excited. Also, his defense as well. The way he defends high up.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
as an 8, like perfect. And
he'll
then
be a perfect Ange player. Perfect.
The way he added finishing towards the end of
against City, he always does a high press against City and wins the ball back and gets a goal for us. Like, high pressing, always.
I was like, wow, he should actually be playing for City. The way his ball control, the way he was moving, like not now because we're like the new City, right? We're City 2.0, right? I joke.
You're not joking, no. You're not joking, no. There's always a bit of truth in every joke, isn't there, Ash?
Hey, listen, we get a couple wingers up top. I don't know. We get a couple wing forwards. I'm telling you, this team is cooking, and we get some depth. I know it's a lot, but just give us next summer. Anyway, I just think Bentancur coming back in can elevate that. You know that January bit where we need to have that second oomph, like where there's loads of games coming in thick and fast. Yeah. If he's fit and firing, because I think between December and January, he'll be getting like 20 minutes here, 15 minutes here. Do you know what I'm saying?
We need him fit and firing for January. That's what we need him for.
That's what I'm saying. So if we get him firing for January, that will help our league position 100%, and we can start dreaming maybe.
Super chat here from Paul Lasky says, "Why not Basuma, Sarr, and Bentancur with Maddison pushed into the forward line? Could that work?"
Maddison where? False 9 or what?
Maybe on the wing.
I think he's saying on the left.
Yeah, maybe on the left.
You know what?
Everyone berated Southgate for putting Maddison on the left, by the way.
Yeah, as I said,
I think you lose a big part of his game out there on the left.
You know what? No, but obviously he has assisted quite a bit from that left-hand side. But that's
what about false 9? What about while Sonny's gone? Put Maddison as false 9.
I wouldn't be mad at it. If Maddison was a false 9 ahead of like a Richarlison. I'm just saying.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, we've seen players before do it. I think Bruno's played their false 9 before. I'm trying to think of other players who have done it, like a Maddison type of player. But maybe
I really want Valise to be given a go in January. Give him a few starts in January and see how he does. Like,
see what happens, especially if you've got wingers around him that are like going to the line, and
Maddison will feed him. You know what I mean? Like, if he can come through those games with a couple of goals, then I think we know that we've got a future here with Valise.
I just want Maddison to be doing what he's carrying on doing, like a kind of free roll, where like if he feels like dropping here, he'll drop in. If he feels like pulling wide, he'll wide. If he wants to be an attacker, and I think that's more effective because he's harder to mark like that. Because if you man mark him, that it's going to create gaps all over the pitch. Like if you're a defender and you're trying to like man mark Maddison out the game.
Did I say Udoji has a knock?
He said it was.
He said he felt a bit of tightness somewhere at half time, and he said he'd give it another 10-15 minutes. And then he said after we scored the second goal, he thought it might as well just take him off now because it's not worth risking.
Don't tell
anymore.
Josh King that. He's going to be...
Is he training? Analysing every training picture.
You see him?
I don't see him! Panic!